Like no habit in the world can override a pattern that your nervous system is protecting. So, what is a pattern? Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Dawn. Welcome to a new episode of the Happy Productive Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about patterns. Patterns. You're not stuck, you're patterned. And that's what we're going to go into. Patterns. Gosh, we live in a world, and you guys know, obsessed with habit change. It's like a new routine, accountability systems. We need the right morning ritual. And there is nothing wrong with habits. They're very real. They 100% work, but only up to a point. Because as I've mentioned in past shows, habits live on the surface and patterns live underneath. So it's really important to start understanding the difference between a habit and a pattern. Okay, so habit up on the surface, pattern is underneath. When a habit keeps breaking down, right? You keep trying to just build this habit and you keep falling off, and you're trying to build the habit and you keep falling off, right? No matter how many times you keep resetting and trying again, what's really happening is that there's a pattern underneath that has not been fully processed. It hasn't been fully addressed. And it doesn't matter, like no habit in the world can override a pattern that your nervous system is protecting. So, what is a pattern? A pattern is a repeated response to pressure, uncertainty, responsibility, right? It formed long ago at some point. Why? Because it worked. And it worked, so your system kept doing it. And it helped you to cope. It helped you to succeed. It helped you to stay safe. It helped you to belong. So it worked. And over time, as your system did it over and over and over, it became automatic. And that's a key there. It became automatic. So your system stopped choosing it, and instead it just started doing it. And most of this happened without your conscious knowledge or awareness. Okay, your system just started doing it. Now, patterns are not flaws. We're not going to try to get rid of them. In fact, we cannot get rid of them. Human beings and our nervous systems love patterns. Patterns are super efficient, and that's why your system creates them, because it's like it doesn't want to have to do the work over and over and over again to figure it out. So once it figured it out and it learned it and it became automatic, it becomes really efficient, and it just starts to run on autopilot. So the problem isn't that we have these patterns. These patterns are important and necessary, and every human being has them. The problem is that the pattern has become outdated, all right? It might have worked for us at some point in the past, but now where we are today in the present and where we want to go in the future, that pattern has become outdated. Okay, patterns, here's the thing that I love the most about patterns, is that if you look at your life and you look at your business and you make a list of all the things that you don't like. And I know this is happy, productive, I get it, but we can use negativity to our advantage. So if you like to complain, or even if you don't like to complain, but it's easy to complain, right? It's super easy to complain. Our brains can go to that negative so easily. So if you just take a big deep breath, and without judgment, you make a list of all the things you're not happy with in your business and in your life. And it's okay to complain just for a few minutes, okay? And you make a list of all the things that are not going the way that you would like them to go. The good news is that you don't have to fix the number of things that are on your list. So you make a list and there's 50 things there and you're like, oh my gosh, like nothing's going right. But here's the thing, it's not 50 patterns that you have to change. It's one pattern that's affecting your life in 50 different ways. It might be a second pattern that's affecting your life in 50 more ways, okay? So that's the hope that I want to give you, that you don't have to fix all of these different things. You just want to go again to the root and you want to start to identify the one pattern that's affecting you in 50 different places. And because it travels with you, it goes everywhere that you go. So the way that you might handle uncertainty at home or in business is going to be the same. The way that you handle money is going to be the same in all areas of your life. Okay. So it's not 50 different problems, it's one pattern that's showing up in 50 different places. And that's actually really, really good news because once you do the work to slow this down, bring in the awareness, learn what's really happening in your system, and you start to identify your pattern and you start to loosen it and shift it, well, everything that it's connected to also starts to shift, which I don't know, but for me, that was very, very encouraging. So, patterns, when we talk about business ownership, can look a lot of different ways. So, working harder, right? When things feel uncertain. So, what does that mean when things feel uncertain? When revenues have dipped, when you just lost a big client, when somebody just left you a bad review, right? That is going to be any kind of uncertainty in your business. And all my fellow business owner peeps, you know that day to day uncertainty, we live with that. That is what being a business owner is. So when things feel uncertain and you by default are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to just work harder, even though on some level you know it isn't going to help, that's a pattern. Maybe you are avoiding hiring a key person, or maybe there's a decision that you know you need to make, but you just keep avoiding it. That is almost certainly rooted in a deeper pattern. If you find yourself over preparing or over explaining, making everything take longer, cost more, take more energy than it really and truly should, that is going to be rooted in a pattern. This is one of the things we do at the In Wildly Successful You is I go deep into explaining the different attachment categories and how it shows up in business. And for me, it's just so much easier to figure all this stuff out if I can look at the behavior. So let's say that the behavior is overworking, and we can simply just track that back to which attachment category is coming up. And then we can start to very safely do what I call repatterning. And I have a framework that I teach everybody on how to repattern that's really, really beautiful and it works so, so well. But I don't know, there's just something about being able to identify this is the behavior that I keep falling into that doesn't really feel good to me, and being able to link it right back to, oh, it's that attachment category. We don't have to judge it. We can really understand it. And now we can start to actually repattern it. Now, here's the thing about patterns. You might be thinking, oh, Jennifer, you know what? I'm just going to do this on my own. I'm just going to decide that I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop overworking. I'm going to start resting. I'm going to start doing my self-care. I'm going to, I'm going to stop ignoring my budget. Okay, good luck with that. Here's the thing. Patterns are so stubborn and you can't just decide to stop. It's not how you are wired. It is not how your system works. The pattern that got created over time and through lived experience. So it happened once and then a second time, a third time, 100th time before it became automatic. So you can't just decide, oh, I'm just going to stop doing this because it doesn't work that way. If you want to shift and repattern, you have to also do it through lived experience, and you have to do it through a calm, quiet, steady nervous system. So if you think that you're going to use willpower or make a new habit, well, have fun, but it's probably not going to work. And it might work for a little bit, but it's not going to be permanent, lasting change. And at the end of the day, that's really all that I'm interested in is permanent, lasting change that isn't exhausting, that doesn't burn us out to try to get that result. Okay, so this is where when you try to eliminate a pattern, but you're not replacing it with the safety that your system requires, your system is actually going to perceive it as a threat. So sit with that for just a second. So when you bring in the willpower, when you bring in the I'm going to force it, when you're going to bring in the, oh, I just need to make this habit go, your system is perceiving that as a threat. And when it perceives it as a threat, it digs in deeper and holds on to that safety rule even harder. This was pretty groundbreaking for me, you guys, when I'm just like, oh my God, all the changes I tried to make by just like forcing my way through it. It's like, oh, well, no wonder it didn't stick because my nervous system is like, this is a threat. We're going to dig in deeper. So this is why, the forcing and the driving, it just isn't going to have the effect that you want it to have. And it's just going to wear you out and it's just going to be exhausting. So I want you to know, like, you're not broken, you're not weak, you're not undisciplined, all of those horrible things that we say to ourselves and we judge ourselves. It's not. What's really happening is that your nervous system is awesome and brilliant, and it is doing its job. And it's doing its job so well, but because you don't know or understand how it works, you end up pushing against it. And that's not what we want to do for real deep lasting change. We want to learn how to work with our nervous system. And this is why willpower is going to fail in this situation every single time. Okay. You're not fighting a habit. You're literally up against a biological protection response that your system is wired for. Okay. Now, I've said this a few times, awareness is the beginning. It is the first and most important step, is just starting to see the pattern clearly and to see it without any kind of judgment. Once a pattern is visible and you start to see it, guess what? It can't run on autopilot anymore because now you have awareness, now you see it. And it's like, oh, this is just my pattern. And if you choose to start shifting it, you absolutely can. So now you can catch it, right? You can catch it in the moment. And in that moment where you catch it, this is where we put some space in there and we just use breath and we slow down and we start to get calm and we put a little space between the trigger event and our response to it. And that's where freedom lives, my friends. That's where freedom lives, is when you can start to catch this, be conscious about it, slow it down, get calm, shift and repattern. You will 100% set yourself free. And from there is where change now starts to happen gradually. This is not a quick fix. We're in the business world and we hear all the, you fix it in 30 days and fix it in 90 days. And all of that tactical strategy stuff, it's good. It absolutely works, but it is not going to fix this deeper stuff. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, gradually, calmly. I feel it in my body like little drops of insight, where the clouds open up and the light gets in, and that insight just is, I feel it shifts in my body and I feel spaciousness, and it's like, oh, I get it now. But in order to have that happen, you have to create that state of safety. And the easiest thing to do is to slow it down and start building some calm into your day and a little focus and a little awareness. And that's where it all begins. So I really hope that you guys have gotten a lot from these 5 episodes where we dive into when your habits, mindset, and willpower are failing or not working, how that affects your identity. And this is about becoming a different version of yourself. Your focus, right? Focusing on one big goal. You can do a lot more in a lot less time with a whole lot less effort if you're working with your nervous system. And that's why it's so important to understand how you're making decisions and those underlying patterns which are driving those decisions. And it's all comes back to having some awareness, learning these things, but it goes deeper, you guys. So this is why a lot of coaches don't go into this space, because we're bridging a gap between the thinking, logical mind and our body. Okay, so we're going from being logical, rational, reasonable into the body, into feeling. And a lot of us, in fact, it's funny, a couple of months ago, I had a client who came in, and a lovely, lovely woman, and she wanted all the strategy. And so a coach on my team gave her all the strategy, and then she complained about the strategy. So I took her on and started working with her. And it's like, hey, you know what? This isn't really about strategy. This is about what's going on in your nervous system. One of the things that she wanted to do was she wanted to hire a manager, and she had spent the last 5 years knowing that she needed to hire the manager, but not actually hiring the manager. So as we started to dive into this, I think a little warning light went off when one day she says to me, "You mean that you want me to feel my feelings?" Like, that was the worst thing I could have ever asked her to do, was get in her body and feel her feelings. And sadly, she disappeared. She after that, she was just like, it was too much of a threat. It was too scary for her to get in there and feel her feelings, and made me sad. I hope one day she does come back when she's ready. But the truth is that this is not work that you can force your way into. And if you're not ready, you're not ready, and it is a-okay. But it does require some courage to sit with yourself, to be willing to get into your body, to feel your feelings, to have some awareness, to look at your patterns. And hopefully, we're going to do all of that with love, with kindness, with caring, with compassion, without any judgment. But it is absolutely work that is worth doing. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Have a little courage to jump right in. Okay, you guys, so that's the end of this series. I hope you really enjoyed it. More to come. As I've mentioned before, we're going to be very, very intentional about the guests that we're bringing on to Happy Productive. I'm going to be diving deeper into this work with you. And if you're like, hey, Jen, I really, really want to learn more, or I want to learn how to start repatterning my patterns, come join me in Freedom Builders or the next Wildly Successful You workshop. Just hop on my website at Jennifer Dawn Coaching. Everything is there. You can also schedule a connection call with us. It's not a high pressure sales call. We do not do that, but you'll be able to speak with one of our senior level coaches, talk to them about where you are, where you're struggling, what you need. If we can help you, great. If we can't, we will gently point you in the right direction. So you can always schedule a connection call from my website or sign up for my next workshop or retreat. And that's it, you guys. Thank you again so much for being here with me today. I love and appreciate all of you guys. Now get out there and have a happy, productive day, y'all. Bye. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to have you join us inside Freedom Builders, my coaching community for entrepreneurs who are ready to slow it on down, do the inner work, and build soul-aligned businesses that are happy, productive. Everything you need is linked below in the description, or you can visit my website at jenniferdawncoaching.com. I hope to see you there.